here must end, and it must end now. Officer Kenneth Baker must be fired immediately.
Sorry?
And you see how they're in collusion here.
Your name and address for the record, sir.
I am not going to surrender my Fourth Amendment right to be able to speak in a public session.
Sir, you've been asked. The ground rule here is your name and address for the record.
Do the ground rules get suspended? Like, do the Fourth Amendment get suspended when I come in here? I don't.
A YouTube First Amendment activist. This is about clicks and it's about money.
No,
we are accountable.
it's about
I am
justice.
Now, and I am
it is.
mayor, sir.
You don't talk to me like that. This is about accountability.
You may leave.
This is about accountability.
No,
you interrupted me.
I have asked you to leave.
You interrupted me.
I have asked you to leave the room.
Sorry. Now look at this.
You need to leave.
Under what?
You need to leave. Get up and leave the court. This meeting.
Let me have my. Hey, let's make the keys are here. Excuse me.
I'll get your keys. I'll get your keys.
Look at this.
What?
Look at this. What he's doing.
Yes. Oh.
This is the disgusting Village of Cold Spring Board and police officer.
Not tolerating unlawful behavior.
I'm not going to bully the mayor or the board. Here are your keys. I asked one question for you. You came here on Community Day and you said you interviewed all of these people and they all came to you with their complaints. What about the residents that were here that told you we did a great job and they appreciate the police? That never goes on in your videos, do they? So
nobody, not one single person said
lying.
they did a great job. No, I'm not.
You're lying.
You
stay away. They have a history of hiring the most violent, corrupt ex-NYPD police. I personally experienced that. What happened? What was my experience? I was just plugging my phone in to charge it, and suddenly there is a police officer screaming, yelling at me, and I'm looking like, what's going on? So I roll my window down, and this guy whose name is Kenneth Baker, ex-NYPD, major police brutality lawsuits that have been settled, and he is yelling at me so aggressively. You can't park there. You can't park there. What are you doing there? All he had to say was, you're double parked, and can you move? I said, yeah, I'm going to be leaving literally right now. But he didn't like that. You know what? Why stop giving me an attitude? And I wasn't happy with his attitude. Well, he didn't like that. I wasn't giving him fealty. Now, let's take a look. Imagine you are on the hiring committee. You're one of the village board of trustees. Let's look at Kenneth Baker's record here. Just take a look. Kenneth Baker, badge number 5651. Former detective, grade 3, officer of information technology, also served at the narcotics division. Oh, look at this. Lawsuit. 30 allegations, 13 complaints, including physical force, race, physical force, strip search, physical force, gun pointed, threat of arrest, threat of force, verbal or physical force, gun pointed, frisk or search. Then let's take a look at lawsuit settlements. There are 8 known lawsuit settlements totaling at least or over $300,000.
30 instances of complaints varying from corruption to excessive force. 8 lawsuits totaling over $302,000 for excessive force. Out of those 30 cases, only 1 person was white. The rest were of other races. Seems to be a pretty racial pattern. But this is nothing new for the Village of Cold Springs Police Department in Cold Springs, New York. In fact, Kenneth Baker is not the only bad apple. Officer Popchak was fired after vandalizing 4 other police officers' vehicles. He was arrested by state police. Officer Morris was fired after running a hit squad. What does Baker, Morris, and Popchak all have in common? They're all ex-NYPD, all out of the Bronx. It seems like the only credentials you need to have for being hired at the Village of Cold Springs Police Department is that you've cost the taxpayers excessive amounts of money for excessive force lawsuits, that you've been engaged in criminal activity, and that you're a downright criminal yourself. In fact, the cop that was caught vandalizing 4 other officers' cars was fired from the NYPD. You have to be pretty bad to be fired from there when a sting was done and he was caught for burglary. Well, Officer Kenneth Baker messed with the wrong guy here. Leroy Truth Investigations exposes them in grandiose fashion. And Leroy Truth Investigations will be the political and legal downfall of this village. And it all started over a dirty cop that shouldn't have been wearing a badge giving out a parking ticket that was unlawful to give in the first place. Physically assaulted. Fourth Amendment rights violated. This video checks every mark. Subscribe to Leroy, tell him AFA sent you, and that's the reason I stopped you today. And the most telling part of why Leroy Truth Investigations was forcibly removed from a public meeting and assaulted was because the cops got upset that when he interviewed the village folk, they didn't have very nice things to say. And now Cold Spring is on the map for being infamous instead of famous.
It is actually a separate legislation, the enabling legislation to collect the occupancy tax. It's not simply for short-term rentals. It is hotels and motels also. So that is a standalone piece. And then the local short-term rental legislation is a separate chapter.
Okay, so that legislation.
That one is the easier piece, is the legislation related to the occupancy tax. So that's an easier one to knock out. So that can start. Once that is in place, there's the capacity for existing hotels and motels.
And that's yet to be passed by the state legislature.
No, that has been passed. That's waiting for us to add the local legislation. We have the enabling legislation in place for that.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome. Any other members of the public would like to speak?
Yep, I would.
Name and address for the record, please.
I'm not gonna give that.
Your name and address for the record,
You can call me
sir?
Mr. Freeman.
You can call me Mayor Foley.
I'm not gonna call you anything.
Your name and address for the record,
I
sir.
am not going to surrender my Fourth Amendment right to be able to speak in a public session.
Sir, you've been asked. The ground rule here is your name and address for the record.
Do the
This
ground
gentleman
rules get
provided-
suspended? Like, do the Fourth Amendment get suspended when I come in here? I don't.
Say your piece.
All right, I'm going to tell you what is important to share for this town. Ladies and gentlemen of the village of Cold
You have
Spring,
3 minutes. Start the timer, please.
I stand before you today.
I'm sorry.
How-
If you would hold on
excuse
for
me,
a
how
moment.
rude you are.
Excuse me, sir. No.
How
I
rude you
neglected.
are.
I neglected.
Now you're giving a
You have
time
3
limit?
minutes. That's right, and it's on the agenda. There's a 3-minute limit.
Ladies and gentlemen of the village of Cold Spring, and all the board members here, you know who I am. Mayor Foley, you know who I am as well. I stand before you today with a heavy heart, echoing the cries of the village of this Cold Spring community. Our beautiful, serene village,
Sir, you are
known
not a
for its
resident of this
warmth and
village.
hospitality, has had a dark shadow cast upon it for the last 4 years by a violent, brutal, and aggressive predator, Officer Kenneth Baker. Don't interrupt me again. From local business owners
Gosh.
to tourists, from our elderly to our youth, many live in fear due to the actions of this very individual. His reign of terror must end, and it must end now. Officer Kenneth Baker must be fired immediately.
Sorry?
And you see how they're in collusion here. And you're going to have a lot of people seeing this. The mayor had this man here go in front of my camera to block my camera.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
It's on camera.
This gentleman was not asked to move.
Officer Kenneth Baker must be fired immediately. How did we get here? In 2019, you had a choice. You knew of Officer Baker's tainted history, a track record filled with extreme police brutality while he was an NYPD police officer. Yet based on mere recommendation by Officer Larry Burke, he was not only hired, but also given the power to patrol our peaceful streets.
Our peaceful streets.
Mayor-
You are not a resident, sir.
How dare you?
How dare you?
Stop interrupting me.
You stop
Mayor
interrupting me.
and the village board of trustees, you allowed this wolf amongst our flock and continue to do so, and for that you bear the responsibility. And sadly, my story with my interactions with Kenneth Baker, who is aggressive and brutal, are not unique. And I took it upon myself to research more about Officer Baker and found a troubling history of brutality and substantial legal settlements in his past that you knew about. More recently, an 88-year-old couple, lovely couple, that comes here to the beautiful village. They came here every week to go to 1 or 2 restaurants. And Kenneth Baker terrorized them so much that the 88-year-old gentleman has PTSD, and they vowed to never come here again. And what was their crime? Their crime was the gentleman parked next to the restaurant so his handicapped wife can get out with her walker. Kenneth Baker didn't like that, and he yelled at them. He was incredibly aggressive, and so much so that they will never come here again. And when I came to the community day this past Saturday, scores of people told me stories of police brutality and aggressiveness that Kenneth Baker did. So I'm calling on each of you to do the right thing and fire Kenneth Baker and Larry Burke, who removed me illegally and unlawfully on Kenneth Baker's behest from this court when the court was in session. Do the right thing. Fire him. And your arrogance and how you are not caring about what I'm saying is disgusting. This is disgusting.
And attacking.
You have been rude since I started here.
And your time is up.
And do the right thing and fire Kenneth Baker.
Let the record reflect that this gentleman is not a resident of the village of Cold Spring. He is not a constituent of this board. His name is Leonard Filipowski. He is a YouTube First Amendment activist. This is about clicks and it's about money.
No,
we are accountable.
it's about
I am
justice.
talking now, and I am
It is.
mayor, sir.
You don't talk to me like that. This
Then
is
you
about
may
accountability.
leave. You may leave.
This is about accountability.
You've been asked
No,
to leave the
you
room.
interrupted me.
I have asked you to leave.
You
the room.
interrupted me.
I have asked you to leave the room.
Sir,
Now look at
you
this.
need to leave.
Underwater.
You need to leave. Get up and leave the court. This meeting.
Let me have my. My keys are here. Excuse
I'll
me.
get your keys. I'll get your keys.
Look at this.
Wait.
Look at this. What he's doing.
Yes. Oh.
This is the disgusting Village of Cold Spring board and police officer.
Not tolerating unlawful behavior.
Her interruption was unlawful to me. If you call this unlawful behavior.
You can stand outside. I'll get your keys.
And what is the unlawful behavior? I want you to state. Stop pushing me. Stop pushing me.
I'm going to tell you one
I'm
last
outside right
time.
here.
Get out. Get out. You're not gonna disrupt a public meeting.
I didn't disrupt a public meeting.
Yes, you did. So
You're not going to bully the mayor or the board. Here are your keys. I asked one question for you. You came here on Community Day and you said you interviewed all of these people and they all came to you with their complaints. What about the residents that were here that told you we did a great job and they appreciated the police? That never goes on in your videos, do they? So
Nobody, not one single person
You're
said
lying.
they did
You're
a
lying.
great job. No, I'm not.
You're lying.
You,
Because I know the residents
why
here.
did you remove me
I know
from
residents
the
here,
court?
and they
Why did
appreciate
you
us doing
illegally
that.
remove me from
And
the
they know
court?
us being here, so.
Tell the truth here.
The
This is your
evidence that you
chance.
just showed in there
Why?
again. So,
Why
I'm
did
done.
you remove me illegally from the court
take care.
when the court was in session? Why did you do that? Pieces of crap. And there you have it, ladies. This is the Village of Cold Spring. Larry Burke, officer in charge, and the other officer physically removed me from the courtroom. This is a disgusting government on every level. And they need to be held accountable through the law. Larry Burke needs to be fired, the other police officer needs to be fired, and Kenneth Baker needs to be fired. And the entire village, board of trustees, and mayor needs to resign immediately. And this is the kind of behavior they do, ladies and gentlemen, in the Village of Cold Spring. Police officer aggressively removed me, went hands-on right there, unlawfully, when I committed no crime. Larry Burke, officer in charge, he blocked my camera while I was speaking. This is incredibly unprofessional, illegal, unconstitutional, and disgusting. Anyone here considering visiting the Village of Cold Spring, I recommend you don't until Larry Burke, Kenneth Baker, and I got to get that other officer's name, until they are fired, until the mayor and the four board of trustees members resign.